Let's get some good luck in there, my friends, because this may be, possibly, the last time we can actually talk about this guy and the idea of him becoming a Canuck. The projected first overall pick in this year's NHL Draft is Gavin McKenna. So with that said, let's talk about the truth, shall we? The Vancouver Canucks head into tomorrow's draft lottery with a 25.5% chance of drafting first overall. That means there is a 74.5% chance that the Canucks do not draft number one. It's tough, eh? There's a much higher chance the Vancouver Canucks go from 1 to 2 or from 1 to 3 than there is of them staying at 1. But amongst all these other teams, Vancouver does have the highest number 1 chance, so it's kind of the mathematical hocus pocus we have come to expect out of the draft lottery. Henrik and Daniel Sedin will represent the Canucks. We also got a list of Vancouver's, what is it called? Their lottery combinations, something like that. It was posted on the subreddit. Let's just see if we can find the list. So yeah, the Canucks have 185 of the 1,000 combinations, which is good enough for an 18.5% when it comes to the actual mathematical nature of it all. You could be asking, though, why does it say on this graph the Canucks have an 18.5% chance, whereas on tankathon.com there's a 25.5% chance at first? Well, that's explained in this comment over here by Deaky40 Pete. The combinations for teams 12 to 16 will also be added, effectively bringing the different number of combinations to 255 out of 1,000, 25.5%. You can only move a max of 10 spots, so if a team from 12 to 16 wins, the Canucks will retain spot number 1. So that is a pretty important mathematical caveat as to how everything goes. Let's say New Jersey ends up winning the number 1 lottery. Well, they can't move up to number 1 because you can only move up a max of 10 spots. They can go from 12 to 2, but not 12 to 1. Same thing with the Isles, the Blue Jackets, the Blues, and the Washington Capitals. They can't go to number 1, so if they do win that first overall lottery, then Vancouver stays at pick number 1. Easy enough? With that said, let's talk about the projected first overall pick, Gavin McKenna, and what's been going on with him and the way he's been playing, because there was a post made by Sapster on Twitter that I wanted to dive into here the most that can give us a little bit of an early preview as to what this guy can truly be capable of in the NHL. Just to refresh y'all's memories, Gavin McKenna scored 51 points in 35 NCAA games this season, and he had 14 points in 7 World Junior games, which is admittedly ridiculous when you just think about the fact that he's draft eligible. He was a double point per game guy at the World Juniors. I mean, it was just a few years ago. We were looking at drafted players at a point per game or higher at the World Juniors and saying that those guys were doing super amazing and they were so talented and fantastic prospects. I mean, this is what we saw back in 2017-18, for example. Casey Middlestad was already drafted in that year. He was over a point per game, and we were like, wow, that guy's amazing. He's going to be the next best thing. Gavin McKenna was a double point per game player, and he's still draft eligible. So there's a lot to like out of this guy, even though you can question the attitude, you can question the leadership on the ice. These were elements that we did question during that World Junior tournament. But what needs to be established is the fact that post-World Juniors, Gavin McKenna absolutely popped the heck off, and he started producing like crazy, displaying more of the skill that made him a projected first overall pick to begin with, and I'd think that now, he's kind of running away with that first overall projection. This is where we dive into what Nux0 went out there and posted. They spoke about how lost in the shuffle this year is how special Gavin McKenna is offensively. He is an absolute wizard with the puck, and he would be a franchise-changing winger if he goes to the Canucks at 1. This is a highlight video package of McKenna doing some pretty amazing work, which also features his total magic goal scored against the Prince Albert Raiders last year, where he just decides to dangle his way into the slot before firing it and scoring a shorthanded goal. Sapster went out there and responded to this video saying this: "For Gavin McKenna to score consistently, he's going to need to either pinpoint shots through layers, or he'll need another playmaker to give him space to walk into the high slot and snipe. However, even without any help whatsoever, McKenna's transition game and elite, borderline generational vision with the puck should give him a baseline production of at least 70 assists per season in his prime, solely due to his ability to take perimeter plays and turn them into the highest danger chances imaginable. Defensively, he's a black hole. If Vancouver gets him, you play him with Petey to be a defensive babysitter. With that said, McKenna is a very intelligent player and will use his stick to free up and strip pucks away from piles. Any defensive value he does provide will be from that, and his ability to keep the puck 200 feet away from his net. Any coach that is lucky enough to be able to work with McKenna is going to need to give him 1 or 2 non-negotiables, but other than that, let him run free. You can't afford to put a leash on this kid." Now, when I see this, I like this sentence a lot. Any defensive value that Gavin McKenna provides will be from him freeing up pucks and stripping it away from scrums, and his ability to keep the puck 200 feet away from his net. It's almost like the criticism that was thrown over to Quinn Hughes back in 2018. When you had scouts and analysts saying that Quinn Hughes is a small guy who maybe has some difficulty defending, and Quinn's main rebuttal to that was, "Hey, I don't need to play a lot of defense because the puck's always on my stick when I'm on the ice. The best defense is having good offense, is it not?" And I love the way that Sap writes it out over here. Gavin McKenna is a player with elite transition game and vision that allows him to take perimeter plays and turn them into high danger chances. It's almost like he plays the game in the same way Nikita Kucherov does, being able to attack dangerous areas from the outside in a split second, either with intelligent puck movement, dekes and dangles to free up space, or just throwing it across to the open guy. Gavin McKenna being a minimum 70 assists per season guy in his prime is quite the big estimate, but if this guy's able to do that in the best seasons of his career, I don't think anybody would be necessarily surprised. In fact, that's also written about here in the replies. Sap says, "Before you say, why are we putting 70 assist expectations on a kid before he plays an NHL game? It's because scoring in the league is increasing. That's it, really. I've seen people give Yakupov comparables, but I thought we all kind of understood that the reason Yakupov failed was because of poor development from the Oilers and poor personal growth from Yakupov himself. I'm going to assume Gavin McKenna won't almost get into a fistfight like Yakupov did during draft interviews, and that he'll work hard. I don't like assuming the worst of people. As long as Gavin McKenna puts in the work and is humble enough to accept that he needs to improve in various elements of his game throughout his hockey development career, then okay, he'll be a good player that can hopefully be coachable enough to lean into his skills and allow those skills to prosper in the same way that Nikita Kucherov did. And if, best case scenario, Vancouver ends up drafting number 1, Gavin McKenna comes to the Canucks, and you stick him with an Elias Pettersson, there is a lot of offensive creativity that Elias Pettersson brings out once in a while, but definitely not as much as he had in previous seasons of his career, where he was going out there scoring 100 points and 30 goals consistently. He is a shell of his former self offensively, but maybe it'll take a guy like Gavin McKenna, who can potentially provide a skillful element to Pettersson's line in the same way that, let's say, an Andrei Kuzmenko did. Maybe Gavin McKenna's fresh and new mind can ignite something inside Elias Pettersson to start scoring some more. Then you can have Rossi with DeBrusk and Besser on the second line, and then things can work themselves out from there. Am I proposing an idea that would allow the Canucks to be more competitive in the short term? Oh boy, I hope not. I would still hope the Canucks get Landon DuPont next year as well. But with that said, there could be some pretty big building blocks in place if Gavin McKenna becomes a Canuck, he plays with Elias Pettersson, and he exhibits some of those similar Nikita Kucherov-like elements to his playmaking. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. One day before the draft lottery, what are your thoughts on Gavin McKenna's potential with the Canucks if he does come to Vancouver? And in isolation, can this guy be a 70 assist per year player in the National Hockey League? Thoughts in the comment section below. Big shout out to Sap once again. I hope you enjoyed this video. 99 and bye.